We are now recording. So when I send out the recording of this tech talk, I will also send out this PowerPoint that has links to all the websites and other programs and softwares that we talk about today. So the reason that we're talking about presentation tools today is because there are a lot of presentation tools available online, and over the past 2 years with everything moving virtually, it's become really important to be able to make presentations and make them effectively in order to communicate. And so a lot of businesses and schools require use of presentation tools to communicate understanding on a subject, but it's also, I think, important to know that when you have these basic skills for using PowerPoint and Google Slides, there doesn't just have to be business and educational use. When you become comfortable, you can kind of learn to utilize them for your own project. So I know one of you attended last month's Tech Talk on keeping a digital cookbook, and that's something that you can do with a presentation tool, but some other projects that people use these tools for are creating lookbooks or project proposals. I have some friends now who are using PowerPoint to collaborate on planning their wedding. So they're putting photos, ideas, links to what they want for their wedding planning all in one PowerPoint that makes it easy to show the vendors and their planners. And then the library uses PowerPoint to host trivia nights and other games. And then I know when I was in school, I used PowerPoint a lot to make flashcards and just as a study tool. So there's a lot of capabilities with PowerPoint and Google Slides that are different than just standard business PowerPoints. So I've mentioned Google Slides and PowerPoint a lot already, and I just want to go over some of the differences between these two presentation tools. They are the two most frequently used presentation softwares. PowerPoint is the most popular, especially for business uses, but Google Slides is also pretty widely used and able to be used on most devices. Some benefits of Google Slides is that it is free with a Google account. So if you have a Gmail account and you use Google Drive already, whether that be for Docs or their Google Sheets, their Excel, the functions are pretty much the same. So it's really easy to get comfortable using it. It's also web-based, so you don't have to install any software. You just have to be able to access a web browser. Most of the time, Google Chrome is what's used with Google Slides. It's the most compatible, but you can still use Google Slides with Safari and Firefox, and it works with Internet Explorer, but like many websites, they've kind of surpassed the capabilities of Internet Explorer. And I mentioned it's compatible with other Google tools, so it makes it really seamless to insert charts and tables from your sheets or link to other projects that you've been working on with your Google Drive. Another benefit of Google Slides is it saves automatically, so you don't have to remember to save your file or anything. It'll continually update. This also has easy collaboration features, so you can share your document, your slideshow with other people, and you can work on it pretty much in sync at the same time, which I think has been really helpful when you're working with multiple people. They also have like a chat room feature that makes it easy to communicate all in one spot, so you don't have to be on a phone call or sending emails back and forth. You're on one web page and you're working at the same time. It's also available pretty much on all devices with internet access. So the downside of that is you do have to be connected to the internet to be using Google Slides. So if you're working on the go and you don't necessarily have Wi-Fi access, it can make it difficult to access your document, your slides. And PowerPoint has a lot of benefits as well. It does require the purchase of a software. I think the basic Microsoft subscription is $70 a year. That might just be student pricing though, but there are many more capabilities with PowerPoint, and it is also the most popular presentation program. So before you subscribe to it, check and see if maybe your workplace or if you're in school in your university, even a lot of high schools have packages available for their students to download onto their devices, and then they have access to all the Microsoft suite, so Word and PowerPoint. PowerPoint does have its own cloud capabilities through OneDrive. So if you're using it at work and you're thinking my PowerPoint saves automatically, it's probably because it's based through OneDrive, through your company's own cloud settings that they have. But if you're just working on the desktop app, it does not typically save automatically. So you want to make sure to have your settings either to save periodically or to make sure you save before you close your project. PowerPoint is a more advanced product. I mentioned that there's more that you're able to do with it. Most of that is in the animations and transitions. So I think you can make more advanced presentations with PowerPoint, but you can do the basic features of everything you can do on PowerPoint on Google Slides. And if you're interested in playing around with PowerPoint, you don't want to buy the Microsoft Suite, it is available on all library PCs. So all our public computers, the only computers it's not available on are actually the Macs in the digital literacy labs. So if you want to use PowerPoint at the library, you can do that everywhere except in the digital literacy lab. And then after that, I have some links to some tools that I'm going to be talking about in a moment, but I kind of want to jump into talking about PowerPoint because it is the more advanced of the two. And so what you can do on PowerPoint, you do the same on Google Slides. So before I start talking about Google Slides, I'm going to go over what's here on PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint that the library subscribes to is PowerPoint 2016. I'm pretty sure that there's a 2020 version, but it's updated, but the features are pretty much the same. So what we're looking at now is the file menu, kind of like the backstage view of PowerPoint. Here are recent documents on PowerPoints that I've worked on. And here we have templates and presentation themes that PowerPoint supplies for you. Something that's neat is you can kind of look up certain topics here. If I want to do like lesson plan, let's see if there's any. It will have kind of pre-designed templates for that project that you can select and then open and start working on PowerPoint. I'm going to use the parcel theme just because I think it's pretty and classic. So I've selected it and I'm going to hit create. And that opens up this presentation. And I'm just gonna go over the basics of the user interface real quick. We already talked about the file menu, and next we have our ribbon, which is this feature right here, and it has the basic tabs with more task panes underneath it. So we have home, insert, design, transitions, animation, slideshow, review, and view. And these are kind of the main functions of PowerPoint, and there's a lot of options underneath. I keep the task pane pinned just because I like to be able to view it, but it's all up to your preference. If you want to hide that, you can just hit that arrow and it'll come back when you select it, but I'm going to keep it pinned. Next, we have our slide pane, which is this area right over here. And this is where you get an overview of all your slides. So I just added a few slides here and you can see the slide order. And so in this area, you can organize your slides. You can reposition them if you ever need to move content around. If you want to duplicate a slide, you can do that here. It's really easy, and it's also easy to delete slides and manage them all in this slide pane. Then we have the slide area, which is, one moment, this workspace right here. So this is the main work area of PowerPoint. It's where you format your slides, you insert text, shapes, photos, make the changes for the presentation. This slide, this is what your viewers are going to be able to see. And then I mentioned the task pane. So the main ones I use when creating a presentation are the home, which is where you can control the slide designs and sections, and then insert, which is where you can insert content like photos, online videos, screenshots, shapes, and we'll discuss some of those briefly. And then here at the bottom is our status bar, and it shows you which slide is selected. You can also, this little icon here checks for any spelling errors or grammar errors. And then towards the right, you have different view options. Slide sorter lets you kind of move slides around. I mentioned flashcards. Those can get pretty numerous, so it's really easy to move them around. It's also, you can look at the booklet view, and then you can click present, which puts it into presentation mode, full screen. I'm going to keep it in normal view because that's how most people work. You can also control the zoom. I like to keep it where I can see the full slide, but if you're working on something closer and you need more details, you can zoom in. And that's kind of the basic interface of using PowerPoint. And now I'm going to go over some of the main functions and skills that I think are needed to get the basics of PowerPoint. So here on the home slide, we have the layouts and slide section. What's really great is I selected that template that we saw, and I need to add in some content for comparison, like I showed you with comparing Google Slide to PowerPoint. And it has it formatted right here. And I select this block and I'll go Google versus PowerPoint. And then it's really easy to fill in the content that you need. What's not easy is spelling correctly. And so when you do that, you have this basic setup. And what's really neat about PowerPoint, and I'm pretty sure Google Slides does this to an extent, but they don't have as many options, are they have these icons here to make it really easy to insert the elements that you want into your presentation. So you can insert a table for if you're showing data or you're just needing a chart. You can use that data and create bar charts just as a way to kind of convey information. And you see it pulls up an Excel sheet. So if you're comfortable with Excel, those functions are going to be working the same. And then there's also options for smart art graphics, which I think are really neat. I use them a lot in program proposals to kind of show the planning process. So, and it's really easy. It reshapes and resizes automatically. So it'll be step 1, step 2. And I think it just has so many options for easily conveying information in multiple ways. And that's kind of the big goal of PowerPoint. So you're able to insert those tables, charts, smart art. You can also insert pictures and pictures from your device and pictures from online, as well as videos. It used to be that Google wasn't as capable of inserting videos from online, but they've really updated and made it just as easy as it is on PowerPoint. But if I wanted to insert a video from online, it allows me to search YouTube right here, and I'm just going to search Google Slides. And then there's this 17-minute introduction to Google Slides. If after this you're just really wanting some more information on Google Slides, you can just insert a video and go and watch that. And you can do the same for PowerPoint as well. So those are some that's how you insert items into your presentation. Those embedded videos can be really useful in presentation. So when you're in presentation mode, you'll have the option to just select the video, whether that be on the computer or if you're presenting on like a smartboard situation, you can tap the video and it'll start playing. And it's really great so you don't have to go back and forth between tabs and windows. It's all just in one presentation. The information is all there. Some other things that are really cool to do on PowerPoint. Sorry, I'm making sure I don't skip over anything. Is that PowerPoint has a lot of photo tools. So let me insert a picture real quick from the computer. You know, this cake pan one is great. We have a cake pan library. It's housed at the Nathan Hale Library, but you can search our catalog for them if you're interested in checking out a cake pan. But when you select the image, format or picture tools is automatically selected, and there's a lot of options you can use to customize your photos. And I use this a lot. I joke that I'm really good at Photoshop, and really I'm just good at PowerPoint picture tools. So you can do photo corrections and adjust the brightness, change the color. There's artistic effects. So you do really neat things like make it pixelated. But what I think is really neat is this remove background feature. And it allows you to select areas to keep. Let me resize it real quick. I just want this snowman cupcake cake pan. And so when you want to keep it, it's the color of the photo. When you want to remove it, it's going to be purple. And I want to get out as much of the table in the background as I can. Let's see how much I messed up. Perfect. And then you just keep changes, and then you have a clear image. Thank you, Mary, for that question. When you insert video, when it's from YouTube, you should have to be connected to the internet to play it because it is pulling it from YouTube. But when it comes to photos, when the photos are inserted onto a presentation, they're going to be available no matter if you're connected to the internet or not, even if you copy that from online, because it's copying that file image and putting it onto the PowerPoint. When you're embedding videos, you're essentially embedding a link that you have to be able to access. However, if you saved the video onto your computer, so if you had your own recording or family video that you wanted to have in a PowerPoint, you could insert that by going to video, and you would click video on my PC and you would insert that, and you do not have to be connected to the internet to have that video be accessible. I hope that answered your question. But more photo options, yes, of course. You can also add borders to your photos and really make them look how you want them to. I like these little frames and effects. I think they're really fun. You can also crop your images as well. So this doesn't look good, but you get the idea. So those are the image options that you're able to use. I mentioned it briefly, but here on the Home tab, you have your text formatting options, and that is selecting the font that you want, the size. You can change the spacing. And then you can also change the colors. Something that you can't really do on Word, but you can do on PowerPoint and Google Slides is you can change text direction. So here I have it going vertically for whatever reason, if you wanted that. But those are some really neat design options you have with formatting text and other elements. Something that PowerPoint is really good at that Google Slides is not as strong at are there options for transitions and animations. Transitions are, when I was in school and we did like grade school and we made PowerPoint presentations, this is what I spent all my time on. And then you learn that it's annoying and it's distracting from actual presentations, but it can be really fun depending on the project that you're doing. So here I've selected this presentation transition for curtains. So when I go to present mode, I'll just do that real quick. I know the screen moves slower than I talk, so I'm gonna give it a second to catch up. When it transitions, it opens like a curtain, which I think is really fun. And you can add those transitions to switch the slides. PowerPoint also has options for animations, and the difference between transitions and animations are that transitions are for transitioning from slide to slide. So when you move from slide 1 to slide 2, this is how you're moving from that to the next. Animations, you have 3 options, but they're for the elements on your slideshow. So whether that be a text box, these videos, that's what's happening. And there are 3 main types of animations. They're not official categories, I guess they are, but it's entrance, emphasis, and exit. And so entrance is how that item is going to appear on the PowerPoint slide. So imagine it's a blank slide, you select fly in, and that is how this animation is going to be appearing. Emphasis is to kind of highlight an element when it's on the slide already. So if you have your presentation kind of mapped out and you wanna, at a certain time you're gonna be talking about something, you can add in an emphasis to draw attention to that element of the slide. And then exit are exits, is how it's going to be leaving. And let's see where it's at here. There's different options for how the animation is going to move. But when I can't show it because I'm sharing my screen, but you can you can change the order of animations over here. Normally there's more options, but you can't see them right now because I'm sharing my screen. But how do you add a transition, or once you add a transition or animation, how do you find it and delete it? When it comes to transitions, there's this little star right here letting you know that there's an animation. And what I always do is I just select none, and now there's no presentation, no transition. The preview option is unavailable. If there was one selected, you would have that preview option, but you can just select it and then it's deleted. As far as animations go, once I added an animation, you see these numbers, 1, 2, 3. And that tells you, 1, how many animations there are, and also the order. So to move them earlier, now this exit will be before this emphasis. And to delete it, you can just select it and hit the backspace key to delete that animation, or you can select none up here as well. Another option you have when it comes to animation are how long it's going to last. So I can make this emphasis last 2 1/4 seconds, how long I want to delay it, what's going to trigger the animation. I think most people, when doing presentations, leave it to click. So if you're using a presentation clicker or a mouse, every time you click it, that'll cue the animation. But you can also set it to be timed. I just don't have enough text on the screen to have that work at the moment. And there are a lot of really cool things you can do for animations. Some people make full videos and GIFs using PowerPoint animation, and there are a lot of videos on YouTube going over that. I'm not going to go too into detail just because there's a lot to cover with PowerPoint and Google Slides. But it's really, the capabilities of it are really neat once you feel comfortable with it. There's so much you can do on PowerPoint, but it's really fun. I know right now in December, an upcoming event, I didn't share December 10th at 7 o'clock. The library is hosting a trivia night, and we're using PowerPoint to show the questions. It'll be on Zoom. So I'm having a lot of fun adding animations and transitions that just make it really fun and silly. Um, the next thing that's really important with PowerPoint, because it does not auto-save, is saving your files. Before we go into that, something that you can do in Google Drive, but is better on PowerPoint, is record your presentation. So right now I'm screen recording and sharing my screen with you guys, the attendees of this program. But if I was just going to have a presentation and record it and send that to you for you to watch in your own time, I have the options to do that by hitting slideshow and record slideshow. And it will record the presentation, and you have the option to have your video in the corner, or you can have your video off and you're not seeing, but it shows you your notes that you might have, your speaker notes, and it allows you to practice timing, record slide by slide, and record a presentation and then save it as a video, whether that be an MP4 or an MOV file, and then you can email that file, or most often, because those files get so large, uploading them to a cloud service or to YouTube to share that way. But when you're saving, this is on a PC. If you're on a Mac, you'll have to be on PowerPoint and then select PowerPoint or file in your top toolbar to save. But because it does not auto save, you're going to want to make sure that you're saving your project and naming your file something that you can find. I save onto the desktop, so I'm going to save this as PowerPoint tips. And the file type can be important as well. Most of the time, it should select the most recent and accurate file type for you, which for this is a PowerPoint presentation. There are several options like PowerPoint 97 for 2003, and those are pretty outdated. And if you save your file in that format, it might not open as easily on another device, so I don't recommend that. You can also save your file as a PDF. This is a good option if you want to share your presentation, but you don't want any changes to be made. So when I share my file with the quick links for everyone, when I get the recording of this Tech Talk, I'm going to send you most likely a PDF of that PowerPoint, just to make sure no text gets accidentally changed, no links get broken. And you can also save it as a JPEG or a PNG. And those are helpful if you're using PowerPoint to edit those images like I showed you. I use this a lot too. At the library, we do a lot of photo editing of editing our mascot into different situations. And I save those as JPEGs or PNG image files. So it makes it easy to share and to save. But as far as PowerPoints go, if you're doing it as a presentation, I recommend saving it as a PowerPoint presentation. The technical file type is a PTTX, I'm pretty sure. So I have that saved. You can also save to the cloud if you're using a OneDrive. But if you're not, you can just save it straight to your device. And so those are the main skills for our PowerPoint. Let me insert a picture real quick. So I'm going to show you kind of some expert skills. And these are on that file that I will be sending out with the video. You can copy images, and you can do this on Google Drive and on PowerPoint with holding down the Control key on your keyboard. So if you look at your keyboard in the bottom left, there's a key that says CTRL. And if you hold that, see if it works. It might not work because I'm sharing my screen, but you can hold that and it'll make a copy of the image. So I'm holding Control and it made all these copies of the images. You can also merge shapes, and this goes with the animations that PowerPoint has. I'm going to insert two shapes real quick. Change the color. So when you select these shapes and then you go to format, merge shapes, you have these options to subtract, to intersect them, to fragment, to combine them. to make a union. And this is just something that I think is really neat as you're practicing your skills. You can really personalize your presentation. Something else, if you're going to be designing a lot of images on PowerPoint or Google Drive, is the ability to like make perfect shapes. And by that, I mean proportional. So you can see I just made an oval, but I want it to be a circle. If you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and change the size, it's going to keep those proportions to be that standard shape. So here you see I'm resizing the circle and it stays a circle. It's not becoming ovally. And the final thing that's really neat about PowerPoint specifically is the screen recording option. I can't do it right now because I'm screen recording with you guys, but you can screen record. So if you wanted to show someone how to merge shapes on PowerPoint, you could screen record yourself doing it through PowerPoint. And then when it's finished, it'll insert that video straight onto your PowerPoint. And that will be saved onto your PowerPoint. You don't have to worry about that being saved onto your computer or being available online. And so those are the main tips for PowerPoint. I'm going to move to Google Slides. And all of those features we talked about on PowerPoint, besides the transitions and animations, work basically the same on Google Slides. But I am going to show you the differences in the interface and just starting projects on Google Slides and some important functions on Google Slides. This is the Google Slides backstage view, like we saw with PowerPoint. Google Slides is available through drive.google.com. It's a part of Google Docs, so docs.google.com. I get to it by going to slides.google.com. It's really not hard to find. If there's a will, there's a way to find Google Slides. Google Slides also provides a lot of templates. I think the template gallery is more fun and just more with the times than PowerPoints. And I think that's because the user base is often school students. Most high schools and middle schools and even elementary schools have their students use Google Slides because it's free and it's really easy to collaborate on. And so they have options for portfolios for showing your projects and your designs. And they're really cool designs that you can just use and insert your images to. But this is kind of that backstage view of Google Slides. To open a new presentation, I'm just going to select a blank. And all right. The interface of Google Slides is very similar to PowerPoint. I'm sure it looks very familiar to you, especially since we spent so much time on PowerPoint. This is your toolbar. And with the same options, what you'll notice is that when PowerPoint, when you select it and it has more icons, this has more of a drop-down menu. So depending on what you're comfortable with, this might be a better option for you. I personally like the icons rather than the drop-down menu. But all your task, your formatting options are going to be here. And then this is your slide pane. Again, this is where you can insert new slides, move them around, make the changes that you want to. I think Google Slides has a really nice speakers notes section, and I use this a lot as like a brainstorming section. I keep links there. It's a really nice tool to have when creating a PowerPoint or a presentation. And then this is your shortcuts toolbar. These are those main formatting options you're going to use. And if you were at last month's Tech Talk, we went over these in depth. So I won't spend too much time, but inserting text, photos, shapes, lines, changing and formatting your text, all those options are here, and your animate options are on this quick access toolbar as well. And your animations come up on the side toolbar. And there aren't as many animation options as there are in PowerPoint, but I do think that they have a better way to like add and organize animations. So the question earlier about how do you delete them, it's very easy to see how to organize and delete them on Google Slides. You just click that trash can, drag them around and move them. And those are your animations or motion options on Google Slides. One thing that is different from Google Slides compared to PowerPoint is that it saves automatically. So even if I close out of this right now, Google is not going to get rid of it. It will be there even though I have not worked on it or added anything. I apologize, there's a lot of sirens outside right now. But you're going to want to stay organized to title your presentation. So I'm going to do this slides now. And you can select where it's going to be saved in your drive. I'm going to add this to my tech classes, so it'll be there so I stay organized. Other than that, some other aspects of Google Slides that I think are important to know. I think you can get more, while you can do more PowerPoint, you can get more creative with Google Slides. And a lot of that, you can do this on PowerPoint too. It's just, I think, easier on Google Slides is the aspect ratio. 16:9 is the standard. So if you're doing a presentation, I would keep it at that. But I use Google Slides to make cookbooks, to do recipe cards. So like the normal recipe card size is 5:3, like an index card size. So then I can have my text and images here. And when I print it, I can print full size and then select my paper size is 5:3. And it's going to print automatically in that correct size, how I formatted it without having to redo anything. You can add audio to Google Slides now. This is something they just added. But the thing about audio is you do have to have it saved onto your Google Drive. So if you have an audio file on your computer, you're going to have to upload that to Google Drive before you can put it in your presentation. Videos work a little differently. You do not have to have a video on your Google Drive tab at your presentation like we discussed, but if you do have the video on your Google Drive, you should not have to be, it should be pretty seamless when playing it in your presentation because you can save it to an offline mode. So you need to do that by clicking on this cloud and clicking turn on, and then it's going to save it offline. So if you are doing a presentation and you're not sure if you're going to have a Wi-Fi, I would recommend doing that. But other than that, you can feel pretty safe inserting videos into Google Slides presentations because you'll have to be most of the time connected to the internet to even open your Google Slides presentation. Charts and tables are really easy to insert into Google Slides because if you're using Google Slides, you probably use Google Sheets. And so it will allow you to choose straight from your files and use that data to make an accurate chart for you. And then I mention it all the time because I'm a big fan of Google Tools, but it makes it really easy to collaborate and share files. And you do that by selecting this share button. And so here we see, this is the Digital Literacy Labs Gmail, and it's the owner of this file. If you want to invite people to use this file, you can copy this link, and only people with that link will be able to access this file. But if you want to have anyone with the link, so if I were to share this with you guys, I would make it where anyone with the link could have it, and I would keep you as a viewer because that lets you be able to see the file, but you wouldn't be able to accidentally delete any content. But if I wanted some feedback, I can make you commenters. You can only comment on it, and I'd be able to read and see what you have to say. Or I can make you an editor, and you could add and contribute and change whatever you wanted. And this is a really great option for when you have multiple people working together on something because you're able to work in real time. The last thing I'll discuss about Google Slides is some of its publishing features. I think it's really easy to share to the web with Google Slides just because it is web-based compared to PowerPoint. You go to File, Publish to Web, and it will give you options to auto-advance your presentation. Yeah. And then you can publish and okay. And it'll give you a link. And that's going to let you send out this presentation really easily. And you can also publish it kind of straight to YouTube because YouTube is also owned by Google. So that publishing feature is really easy and like seamless, which is really neat. Other than that, I have a few other presentation tools you can use and other websites that make your presentations more visually appealing. I use the website coolers.co a lot, and it automates color palettes for you. When you hit the space bar, it gives you complementary colors with the hex codes that you can copy into your presentation and use. So I really like this color called Liver. So I'm going to lock that into place, and then it'll continue to pick colors that are complementary until I get the ones that I like. And I use this a lot when designing logos or online images to promote programs. Something else that I use is slidesgo.com. And this is a lot of free templates. So I showed you the templates for PowerPoint and Google Slides. If there's still not what you're looking for, there are a lot of free templates on SlidesGo that are able to be downloaded, and they're compatible with both Google Slides and PowerPoint. You just select which one you want to download. There are advertisements on the website, but it is a safe website to use. Also, if you're just wanting to have some options for learning skills with PowerPoint and Microsoft products, when it comes to sharing Google Slides through email, you don't have to have a Gmail account to operate it. It is easiest if you do. What'll happen is if you're sending it to someone with an Outlook email, they'll be able to access that file. They won't be able to save it, but they'll be working as a guest. And so normally if I were to hop on this with my Gmail, it would have my name right here that I'm working on it, and you can see what I'm working on. If it was a recipient without a Gmail account, it'll say Google does this fun thing. It'll say anonymous walrus or anonymous mongoose, and that's how you work on it. But you can pretty much do the same options when it comes to editing and viewing. You just cannot save the document or the presentation into your Google account. And that's the difference if you're working with people who don't have Gmail accounts. If the internet connection is not good enough, is it better not to use Google Slides? I think that all depends on if you already have purchased the Microsoft software to use PowerPoint. If you struggle with internet connection and you have access to PowerPoint, I would stick to PowerPoint just because you're not going to run into those issues of not being able to connect to the internet. You can work on Google Slides without internet connection, but you cannot do some of the features like the collaboration features, sharing, downloading templates, but you can do the basic inserting the text into the slideshow without internet access. But if you struggle with internet connection, I would recommend PowerPoint if you have that. And if you want to learn more about PowerPoint, the library has some free resources for library card holders. I'm going to show you how to access them real quick. This is the library homepage. And so when you go to research, databases, the one I'm going to show you guys is LinkedIn Learning. I don't know if I'll be able to log in, but LinkedIn Learning, formerly lynda.com, has professional training for Microsoft products. And you just log in with your library. Let's see if that's my library card number. It's not. Your library card number and your password. See, this isn't mine. And you can just search Microsoft, and there are videos for using PowerPoint, Docs, Excel, and they go, most of it is business oriented because it's through LinkedIn, but it's other great ways to kind of have an overview of the Microsoft functions and capabilities. And with that, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm just going to kind of remind everyone of the upcoming events in the lab, which I mentioned already, which is the next month's Tech Talk about 3D printing and January's Tech Talk about the new year. Can't believe it's already almost 2022. Thank goodness I remember to record this. I'll probably send out this video next week. And as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. The Digital Literacy Lab's email is dll@tulsalibrary.org. I'm pretty responsive there, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys in the lab when you're able to come in. And I really appreciate you coming to today's Tech Talk. It's been wonderful, and please let me know if you have any questions after the presentation. I'm going to stop recording.